Larry Kudlow says Congressional Republicans must not stop Trump tax cuts. And I definitely agree with that. The overwhelming majority of Americans, middle class on up, benefited from the original Trump tax cuts. So I agree. We need to extend it. We have to keep it going. We have to improve upon it. In fact, again, I showed this study before, the GAO study that showed that middle class all the way up to about a millionaire got saved like 16 to 17% on their taxes, where the millionaires only saved about millionaire on up only saved about 9%. I showed that study. We talked about it before. So we got to keep them going. We're going to play the clip with Larry. We're going to play a couple of clips from Larry Kudlow and get his take on it. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from Fox Business. So let's jump right into the clip, because like I said, we got a couple of clips here. So let's jump right into it. Here we go.
All right, folks, Congressional Republicans must not stop the Trump tax cuts. And that's the subject of the riff. All of a sudden, nothing but bad news coming out of the Republican Congress regarding tax cuts. Some people in the House talking about some kind of 5-year extension of the tax cuts. Senators talking about 2 or 3 budget bills that would put the tax cuts toward the back of the queue. This is very bad economics and very bad politics. And Republicans may be suffering from amnesia about the economy. What was the number one issue in last November's election? And there were 2 components to the economy. Remember, last year, inflation and affordability. In other words, with Biden inflation going up 20%, real wages for middle and lower income blue-collar workers went down.
Yep.
Mr. Trump's successful coalition of working class voters was not based on race or gender or left-wing culture issues. It was based on the paucity of income. There are 2 ways to fatten middle-income wallets: getting inflation down with lower energy costs and less government spending and less money printing, and, wait for it, cut their taxes.
Right.
Supply-side policies always political and economic winners. Working-class voters could not afford to live in the Biden economy, but Republican economic policies must give plenty of elbow room to working folks so they can fatten their wallets and easily afford the Trump economy. And if the Republican hang-up is a bunch of failed economic models from government bean counters like the Congressional Budget Office, well, the GOP should stand up on its hind legs and fight it. Revenues after the Trump tax cuts in 2017 increased by $1.5 to $2 trillion, depending on how you count it. $1.5 to $2 trillion revenues went up. Now, even the CBO admits it was close to $2 trillion above their early estimates. And although it seems arcane and a little bit in the weeds, the GOP should be using Senator Mike Crapo's policy baseline, which argues that making the popular tax cuts permanent have not yet, nor will in the future, cause a loss of revenues. So they don't have to.
And that's the thing. They keep saying that, we need to raise taxes because the government need more money. That's not the thing. Government is spending too much. But the thing is too, though, with tax cuts, people spend more, which means they pay more taxes. The government gets more taxes because people spend more and pay taxes. So I don't understand. You would think they would want tax cuts so they can increase revenue, which they do. It increases revenue. I mean, it's just common sense.
Cut 4 or 5 trillion in spending right away. Yes, they should get spending down to Scott Bessent's 3% of GDP deficits. They should lower the debt to GDP ratio. But the Laffer curve growth dividend from tax cuts will be huge. That's what history always shows.
Always.
There's another reason why the GOP should make all the Trump tax cuts permanent. The president wants it. He was elected partly on the tax cut promise. And as White House Spock's Caroline Leavitt said today, the tax priorities of Mr. Trump are very clear. All right, let's just go down. Make the 2017 tax cuts permanent.
Right.
No tax on tips, no tax on seniors, no tax on overtime pay.
I love it.
Tax cuts for made in America products, yes. And then eliminate special tax breaks for billionaires, including sports teams owners or the carried interest on loophole on investment. These are presidential priorities. He won the election by a near landslide. His working class coalition, blacks, browns, Asians, young, women, males, that coalition was based largely on an optimistic belief that Trump can rejuvenate the economy.
Amen.
And generate unlimited access to climb the ladder of opportunity. That's what elected him. Republicans in the House and the Senate must not stand in President Trump's way.
Right.
And that's the riff. Whew,
Get out the way. Let Trump govern. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. And also get this spending under control. We have a government spending problem. But let's play this clip here with Wesley Hunt. He's my congressman here in Texas. I really like this brother. Let's play this clip here.
Here on set to have Texas Congressman and opinion maker and influencer, Mr. Wesley Hunt. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me on, as always.
All right, so look, I'm just saying the president won. He won on the economy. I'm at the border, too, and I'm all for some spending restraint. But putting the tax cuts last rather than first strikes me as a really bad idea. And then, Wesley, second one.
I don't know about. I don't know if putting it last. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if are we putting is he putting the tax cuts last? I don't really know if that's the case.
Shrinking the tax cuts, which is what they're talking about with this 5-year rigmarole, that is diluting them. That means they won't be permanent, and there's no reason for that. That's what I don't understand.
I agree with that though. Just cut it all together. Why you want to do incremental? Just cut the taxes. Stop playing these games. Make it permanent. The people are tired of giving their hard-earned money to the government and not receiving anything back in return. Let the people keep their money. They're going to end up spending it anyway, which the revenue will end up going back to the government. I don't know. Again, like I stated earlier, why can't they see that? You know, if someone have money, they're going to spend the money and it's going to go, you got to pay taxes on stuff. On everything we purchase, we pay taxes. So the government is going to get that money that we spend. So, I mean, it's common sense.
No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, making these tax cuts permanent. This is exactly the reason why he won this election. And again, this allows everyday Americans to have more money in their pocket to reinvest back into this economy in order to rejuvenate a dead economy that's been left to us because of President Biden. It really is that simple. I don't understand why we can't just rinse and repeat what we saw with the TCJA, add a few things to it, and then just continue to proceed. Take the old numbers, add the new numbers to it, add what President Trump wants to do in terms of allowing everyday Americans to have more money in their pockets so we could actually live again, and then just move on from there. This needs to be expedited and done as soon as possible. It really is not that hard.
Thank you for that. But I would say this, sometimes even my good conservative friends, and they are good conservative friends, get too hung up on what the CBO is saying or what the joint tax, what these models and baselines are. You don't have to cut all this spending at once, point number one. Point number two, the tax cuts didn't cost money. The tax cuts made money. And I think they're digging themselves into a hole. This idea that you need $4 or $5 trillion, you do not. That is outmoded Congressional Budget Office, liberal, left, Keynesian malarkey. They should not be intimidated by that. Listen to what Mike Crape, there's basically, you know what? The existing tax cuts, going back to 2017, paid for themselves and then some.
They made more money, the government, when I say the government, they made so much money with the Trump tax cuts. They got so much money back so much money because people have money in their pockets to spend. You know, Americans, we love to spend. But if we don't have the money, we're not going to spend it, which means that government don't get that, don't get our tax, don't get that revenue. So, I mean, again, it is common sense. Let the people keep their money. They're going to spend it anyway. We're going to end up getting taxes from that money that they spend. Simple.
There is no cost to them. There is no cost to them. You can't say spending costs money, but tax cuts don't, or spending doesn't cost money and tax cuts do. Yes. Then you have a pinball machine on permanent tilt for more spending and higher taxes. GOP's got to get out of that box. They've got to break out of that straitjacket.
And President Trump is a quintessential definition of thinking outside the box. We also have to grow our way out of this. Now, a lot of my colleagues don't want to hear that, but when we unleash American energy and we allow this country to grow exponentially, let's see what happens. I know it's hard to plan for this because it's unconventional times, but this is an unconventional president. And I remember a couple of years ago when Barack Obama said you can't just wave a magic wand and have, you know, that much growth into the economy. Well, President Trump did wave his wand, and miraculously, we saw the most growth.
I remember when Obama said that. Remember when Obama, because he's left-handed. I'll never forget, he had his left hand and he was like, you're not going to wave a magic wand like this and magically, you know, things are going to grow. But then Trump came in and grew the economy tremendously.
In his first presidency that we have seen in the history of this country. Why can't we do it again?
Don't lose the laughter curve. Don't forget the laughter curve.
Don't ever.
You're absolutely right. By the way, Barack Obama, speaking of whom, Barack Obama used Mr. Crapo's current policy baseline to keep the George W. Bush tax cuts in place. They called it a permanent baseline. It was a policy baseline. They should do exactly the same thing now. Obama was a very smart fellow.
Yes.
All right. We've exhausted that. Now, you are an American hero. You have a great service record. You're a West Point graduate. A couple of things on this.
Intelligent brother.
First of all, recruitment in the month of January is at a 15-year high. What do you make of that?
Shocking. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can see when we have a president that believes in American exceptionalism, that wants to motivate young people to serve this country yet again. Imagine this. It's only about changing how we feel and changing the motive about what it means to make America great again, that this place is good. There's a reason why there's 20 million people that have entered this country illegally. There's a reason why people want to be here, because we are an amazing country. And to have young people that are willing to want to fight for President Trump, fight for the America First agenda is what's been missing for the past few years. And as somebody that
I agree. I'll leave the link if y'all want to watch the rest of this. But yeah, I agree. People have people are being more and more patriotic now that Trump is in office. They believe that Trump is going to grow the economy. He's going to make America great again. That's why you see the recruiting numbers of the Army going up like it is. We no longer have a president that's antithetical to the American way. We have a president that believes in Americans, believe in America. So that's why you're seeing what you're seeing. I agree with that. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.